I was afraid to talk to girls when I was a teenager. I was afraid of dancing. I was afraid of like singing and playing music in front of people. I was afraid of all these different things. And so I said, I want to do this. I'm going to give myself a challenge every single day until the fear goes away.
That's right.
And I feel like that's what more of us should be doing. I'm hearing that that's what how you live your life.
That's all it is, man.
And it helps me feel so much more confident. When you overcome that fear of saying this doesn't have control over me anymore,
that's right.
It's like you can be at such more peace.
It's 100%
in your life.
Most of like for instance, I never thought in my wildest dreams I could be a Navy SEAL. It's until you open your mind, open-mindedness creates that. We all shut down our mind. Like for instance, when I broke the pull-up record, everybody around me who heard the pull-up record was 4,020 pull-ups. That's the first thing they did. Oh my God.
4,000 in 24 hours, or was
this? It's 4,020 pull-ups in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
The first thing I did versus closing my mind to like, oh my God, that's crazy. I went and got a pen
and say, how many is that every minute?
Exactly.
Every hour, every second.
Instead of taking life and making it out to be this grandiose thing, start breaking it down. Start breaking it down. And most of us, we live in a box. And we don't want to go outside that box at all, ever. Outside that box is all these possibilities of life. What we do is we shackle our mind. We are a prisoner in our own mind that this is all I can do. This is all I'm good at. And we take away the possibilities of you could be this, you could be that, you could be all these things. And I never thought at 300 pounds I could be Navy SEAL.
Wow.
So if my mind was shackled, me and you would never meet. There'd be no book.
Right.
There'd be no book.
Right.
There'd be nothing. So what people understand is that they live for themselves, not knowing that you have the power within yourself to change millions of lives by facing life, by facing yourself. And through that, I would die never knowing that I had the power to change millions of lives. And what haunts me the most, people ask me, what haunts you the most? What haunts me the most is that if I would have died at 300 pounds, let's say I was 75 years old, I got to heaven, and God has a chart like that on everybody's life. God knows all. Let's say that. I don't care what you believe in. Doesn't matter. I'm not judging anybody. But let's say my thing is God. You get to heaven, I'm 300 pounds, I sit down, I was a cockroach Terminator my whole life, and we're sitting down just like this. You're God and I'm David. And he gives me that chart, and he says, look at this. And I'm looking at this chart, and on the chart it has all these different things, but my name's on it. But these things aren't me. I was going to change the world. I was going to set records. I was going to be a Navy SEAL. I was going to be all these things in the military that I accomplished. You're going to get the VFW award. You're going to be honored here, honored there. And I'm like, God, this isn't me. Like it says David Goggins, I was an Ecolab guy. I sprayed for cockroaches, and I'm 300 pounds. It said here I'm 185. It says here I got a bachelor's and a master's. It says all these things. And God goes, no, that's who you were supposed to be.
Wow.
My biggest fear in life is if there is a final resting place in this world, and there's a final judgment, and you talk to something much bigger than you. I don't want to sit down and have a conversation with someone, with something that says, you're in heaven, this is what you should have been on earth. And are you really in heaven now, or are you in hell? Thinking about how much I left on the table for fear, for not willing to go over the wall and over the next wall and over the next wall. So in my mind, I believe that. And God knows all. At least I believe that. I want God to be up there right now as we're speaking, writing stuff down, saying, my God, he exceeded even my expectations. Wow. That's how I live my life. I now know that there is no cap on the human mind. There's no cap. We cap it ourselves.
Wow. Is there a cap on the human body?
That's right.
Is there one?
I don't believe so. Mm-hmm. Because one thing I found out was for several years I gave myself a way out.
When you were 300 pounds?
When I was 300 pounds, when I was, all the way up until I was 24 years old. I would climb a mountain, I'd fall back down. I start climbing, I fall back down for the first 24 years of my life. I went to my first Hell Week, my second Hell Week, and then my third Hell Week came in SEAL training, and the CEO, Captain Bowen, looked at me. I'm on crutches. I'm all jacked up. He says, hey, this is your last time you're going to go through buds. This is it. I had several stress fractures. I had double pneumonia. I was jacked up, and he gave me a few months to heal. And he said, this is your last time going through. I shouldn't even let you go back through.
Wow.
I started Navy SEAL training with stress fractures. Stress fractures,
That's
not shin splints.
That's hard to finish.
Stress fractures. Starting the hardest training, arguably the hardest training in the world with stress fractures. And this is when I started to not put a cap on the body if the mind is there. Every morning I would wake up at 3:30 in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, go to my dive cage, go in there before anybody saw me. I'd get duct tape, and I would tape from my forefoot all the way up to the mid of my calf, and I would put 2 black socks on. And so I ran not using the pivot.
Oh my gosh.
And I ran my hip flexors. So for the first 45 minutes to an hour, I was in absolute excruciating pain. But what motivated me through that whole process was the fact that this kid came from that. I'm in the hardest training in the world, in the worst shape of my entire life. What if I can graduate amongst these studs?
Wow.
All these guys around me are studs. They're stallions. They're gladiators in my class. They're all healthy. Most of them. They're not broken like this. They may have some, everybody's sick going through that training. Yeah. But if I can graduate, it would change everything for me. If I can start the hardest training in the world, broken, and graduate. So my mind fed off of that. You are now, from the weakest man, you are now the hardest man to ever live. If you can do this. If you can do this. Life is one big mind game.
Yeah.
And you're playing it with yourself. Is it true? I don't care. It got me through the hardest training, starting out broken. Where most people quit, I had just started.
Wow.
And when you take that mindset and you learn to flip that around, that's what made me powerful. And my body followed. And 3 months later, my stress fractures were healed by running on them.
It's calcifying it, just like.
I never had them since. I'm 43 years old.
Wow.
I ran 7,000 miles in 2007. Haven't had a stress fracture since. And I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that when the mind and the body connect, and you don't give yourself a way out. The only way out for me at that time was death.
Wow.
I'm going to be a Navy SEAL.
Or I'm going to die.
Or I'm going to die trying.
Yeah.
Period. And my body said, Roger that. We're going to get you through this.
So when the mind gives it no way out,
no way out,
your body says, okay, I believe you now.
I have to heal.
I'm going to figure this out with you. We're
Yes.
going to do this. It's going to be the worst part of your life, but you're going to survive.
We're going to survive.
Wow.
And as you hear in that 100-mile race I did, I started figuring out more and more and more and more about at the other end of suffering is a life that no one, and I'm not talking about go out there and kill yourself. Don't take these words and flip them and say, oh my God. No. It just be uncomfortable. I call it suffering.
Don't physically injure yourself.
Yes. Not saying that.
And then be out for 6 months.
That's right.
That's no good.
That's no good. I'm not saying do what I did.
Yeah.
I was in a spot that life forced me. I had a choice. I had a choice to be this guy or the guy that's in front of you. I had choices. I chose this path.
And you're still choosing it.
And I'm still choosing it.
You can go back to that guy at any moment.
Because I found out something with those stress fractures. I found out something through facing all these things. I found out a whole nother world, which is why I walk around with all my stuff in a black backpack.
Wow.
I found out a whole nother way. A whole nother way of no matter how far you get in life, you have to be able to go back to scratch in your mind at a moment's notice. You can never get so far beyond scratch. What that means is when you accomplish something in life, if you want to go back to scratch and go back to that $7 a month place where I once lived and visit that place for a long period of time, if you were here when you went back to scratch, you would now be here. Scratch is what makes you better. Scratch, friction, obstacles create growth. There's no friction when you're this far up in the game anymore. You think there is.
When you've achieved,
that's right. When you achieve so much, the friction is minor. Because why? I'm sore. I'm going to get a massage today. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat today. The refrigerator is always full. So your comforts are now, so your discomfort is now very minuscule to your discomfort back here in the $7 a month place. So you have to go back to the total discomfort to then raise your level of where you're at now. I'm not saying stay there and stay there. Visit
it.
And then you raise your level.
Take a day trip.
That's right.
Yeah.
Always take day trips.
Yeah. Don't stay there.
That's right.
But take a day trip.
Take a day trip.
So when you complete some massive obstacle and challenge, whatever the adversity that you force upon yourself, because these are all curated experiences for yourself that you're scratching constantly. What happens now? Since this was 5 years ago, you would just leave, you wouldn't take the medal, you would just go on to the next. What happens now? Do you take a day to reflect, a moment, 10 minutes? Like, how does the process work? And then how do you get back to visiting the $7 place you lived in?
Now, I don't have to go back and visit it. I don't have to think about it. It lives with me now. Every day of my damn life, that feeling that I had to go back and think about, I found a way to just have it.
How did you?
It's constantly there. I have a self-talk. It's called my cookie jar. And it's a constant reminder of David Guy. Every day of my life, I believe in quiet. There's no growth outside of quiet. The world's too noisy. Your mind needs quiet for you to find who you are. People ask, what's my purpose? Why am I here? You're not going to find it nowadays unless you lock yourself in a quiet room in your mind and find it. It's too noisy. For me, I could be in a busy street in New York City, horns honking, and I'm walking around with like nothing. It's me and myself in a quiet spot. And when you are constantly reflecting on who you are, where you've been, the journey you've gone through, the journey you can continue going through, the feeling's always there. You don't allow the world to pull you so fast that you forget. You don't allow yourself to pull you so fast that you forget. It's not about staying in that moment. It's about you want to get to the point where that feeling follows you like breathing. It becomes a part of your life, part of your DNA. But it's made. Like these calluses on my hands right now, they're made.
Yeah.
They are now on my brain. This is now a part of me. It's a daily process, a part of me. And how I go back to that $7 a month place all the time is now I go out and I dig fire line. I'm a wildland firefighter. I don't need to do it. I'm a 43-year-old man. I work with 27-year-old kids.
Yeah.
I'm a rookie. Every day I'm a rookie, it feels like. And
why do you do it?
That's why I do it, man. There's a story I'm gonna tell you about why I do it. So I have a good living now, for me, where I'm at in my life. I was out on a fire in Colorado, and we were digging fire line on this, like 50%, like it was like on the side of a daggone mountain.
Yeah.
And we're trying to keep the fire from moving, and we're digging this fire line 14 inches, or my fault, 18 inches wide, 3 miles long. 12 of us digging. And it is the hardest work. You make $12 an hour.
Wow.
Okay? Nothing. You set up your shop. Like, when you're done digging, you just pretty much lay down, you go to sleep, and you get up and you dig some more.
Really?
This happens for 2 weeks long.
What are you digging? It's like a hole, you're digging a line.
So you're trying to get down to a mineral source. So you're trying to get down to the earth. So that if that fire is moving, it can't burn dirt.
Really?
So you're moving fuels.
Got it.
So not only are you digging, you're cutting down trees. It's hard work. But the moral of the story is I'm 43. Don't need to do it at all. This is why I do it.
You're making money. Yeah.
I'm making money. I have a good life. I don't need to do it. And everybody asks me why I do it. This is why. This 21-year-old kid was out there. And he wanted a pair of running shoes. So all he wanted was a pair of running shoes. 60, 70, 100 bucks, whatever. Easy for us.
Yeah.
Running shoes. He looked up at the mountain that we had been on for days digging this fire line. And he said that'd take me 5 or 6 hours of work to buy those shoes. He said I'm not gonna buy them. It's the perspective of life. That perspective of life right there, that is the value that we lose. When things start to come so easy in life, it's the perspective that 21-year-old had. He looked up at that mountain and thought, he looked at his hands, he looked at the amount of hours of pulling that Pulaski, that tool, and raking that ground, and then cutting those trees and moving them, and that hours of work. He looked at his feet and said, these old shoes would do. It's that perspective in life that we lose. And that story to most people may not mean anything. It's that story I always want to have in my life. You cannot lose perspective of where you've come in life.
Yeah. So true. We were in Guatemala. Was it this year or last year? Last year. We were in Guatemala last year. We support a charity called Pencils of Promise that builds schools for kids who live in poverty and all around the world. And every year I take a trip to just see where our efforts are being, felt and being made. And these are the poorest places in Guatemala, Laos, and Ghana. Places they have nothing. There's no schools. They're in little villages. They live on dirt, huts, everything, right? And we go and we build these schools. We actually, the villages build them themselves. We just fund the experience, and we empower them to do it, so that they take ownership of it.
Right.
But I'll be there for a few days and watch these kids so happy with just like a pencil.
Right.
They're just so happy to just like have their family around, and they'll
Right.
go and they'll show us their huts, and like they're just so happy to have community. And then I'll fly back and go through Beverly Hills, right over here, and I'll see like these mansions. I live right next to it, and I'm just like, it gives me so much perspective of like, you don't need to have all these things to find peace and joy and connection and intimacy and all these other things that we want. You don't need these big mansions and to live in this nice place. I like living here, but it's not like, it's perspective for me is what keeps me motivated as well.
That's right.
To keep doing the right things, to keep showing up, to keep working hard. And I think it's right, most of us miss that perspective in life.
We get so far away from reality.
So far.
And the reality is, man, when I was 7 years old, 8 years old, all I wanted was a 99-cent quarter pounder from Hardee's.
I know, right?
And that made me happy as hell.
Some curly fries, man.
That's it, man. That's it.
Yeah, the thing is, a lot of us have been conditioned, or some of us grew up with wealth or grew up with comfort.
Right.
And so we're conditioned that way, and we grew up expecting now that things should come a lot easier.
Right. That's a damn shame.
And we get frustrated when we don't get it right.
That's right.
away.
Quickly. Yes.
Yeah, and I'm always talking about delayed gratification. Like the longer I can wait to receive gratification,
That's right.
the more fulfilled I am.
I'm a person, so when I got sick like I did, I actually had to quit this race called Badwater.
Yeah. 135 miles?
Yep, through Death Valley. It was
Crazy.
2014 when I got real bad. I pulled out of the race at mile 50. I went to the emergency room, and the docs were like, we can't find this, we can't find that, we know what's wrong with you. When I got in that bed, so this is the crazy thing about gratification, long term. I'm able to watch grass grow by finding out this. I sat there, couldn't run a quarter mile, couldn't get out of bed. The only thought I had in my mind, I pulled out of that race. I told myself, I'm going to go back to Badwater one day and run it. I'm going to win the race. Haven't been back since. 2019. I'm not saying I'm going to win it. I'm just now in the shape to go back.
Wow.
Haven't run a 100-mile race since 2014.
Wow.
Because I've been that sick. I'm just now. Imagine the gratification I'm going to get by getting to the start line of that race. And what if I can win it?
Be pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
4 or 5 years, yeah. Be pretty
Imagine
sweet.
that. Of having that kind of self-discipline to every day wake up and having these setbacks where I can't even run a mile.
Wow.
But I'm thinking about running 135. I can't run 1 mile, but I'm thinking about running 135. And with that process, guess what happens? Sooner or later, you can run 10 miles. It may take a year, but it gives you more and more hope that it's possible. And I'm at the point now where, guess what? It's right around the corner.
Wow.
Most people in that time frame, in that mindset, I can't run anymore. It's over. No. It's just gonna take a little bit longer. You have to turn the negative into a positive. Because at the end of it all, if you can sit back and wait, if you can wait 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 years, when you get to that point when you finish, that's the feeling for 12 years. Let's say wait 12 years to get there. That's what keeps you going, is you gotta feel, I'm doing it for 1 second.
Years of pain.
For 1 second. 1 second. Think about it. You cross the finish line, it's over. 1 second.
Most people do that, and the 1 second isn't what they thought it would be, and then they're pissed and upset, and they keep going on to the next because they never reflect back on what they did.
It's not the 1 second, it's the 12 years.
Yeah.
It's the 12 years that I want. It's not the race. It's the 12 years while you did it.
It's not the winning.
It's not the winning.
It's not what place you got.
No.
But most of us focus on,
That's right.
oh, I got to win this.
That's right.
And if I don't, I'm going to be upset. I would achieve all my athletic goals for years, and then 10 minutes later be the angriest person
That's
in
right.
the world. So angry and frustrated, nasty with people.
Yep.
And I would delay my gratification for years to achieve what I wanted.
That's right.
And I never understood that either.
Being a perfectionist is the worst thing that can happen to a person. You never live. Like when I lost that 106 pounds in like 2.5 months, whatever it took me, that was the biggest trophy of my entire life. I didn't care if I graduated Navy SEAL training. I didn't care. What I just accomplished in that time frame, it's massive.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was no trainer. There was no like. And what's funny about this, we talk about mental toughness nowadays. It's like the biggest crave. When I grew up, it was just suck it up.
Yeah.
It was just make it happen.
Yeah.
You had to figure out. It was called figure it out, man. And all these nuggets that I gained along the way, that's what it was about. It wasn't about the trident. It wasn't about all those daggone medals. It wasn't about any of that. And that's why I hate even talking about being a SEAL, you know. I mentioned stories. People, why don't you talk about it? Didn't define me. The journey getting there was harder than going through it.
Yeah.
You know? So that's the whole thing about life, man. It's that journey that makes you who you are.
If you're looking for more greatness in your life, make sure to check out this video right here. And also check out our free PDF, The 3 Secrets to Unlock the Power of Your Mind to help you change your life. Download it right here.
25% of our blood flow goes into this thinking brain, and the rest is like on stand.